know, and I'll have Adrian talk about this, the student cam contest. Have you heard a little bit about that? But basically what you can do, even in your current pieces, if you're doing any kind of history or anything, everything that's been recorded on Cspan since 2007 is digitized and available online.
This is Cspan World.
What have you seen on Cspan?
These are the Awol kids, Savannah. Holla at your boy.
Very good. Yeah, news conferences, and you'd also see committee hearings.
What's going on, young lady? Tell me what's going on. Who's there? Who's here? Who's visiting with us today?
Oh,
okay, all right. We're gonna move on.
And they are on our different networks.
David Jackson.
But if President Obama showed up here today, and he spoke to you, say, for 20 minutes about the education or crime in the United States, and he spoke to you for about 20 minutes, how much of that 20-minute speech do you think you'd see on the nightly news? And by the nightly news, I mean like ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox. 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
30 seconds.
2 minutes at the most.
2 minutes? 30 seconds?
I'll say probably, probably about a minute.
A minute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, most likely probably like 30 seconds.
Really?
Because they're gonna, who's deciding what you're seeing? The editors. Now, who's edited a piece before? Okay, so there's a lot of responsibility on an editor, isn't there, to decide for that audience what the subject is and what you're going to hear. Now on C-SPAN, how much do you think you're going to see of that 20-minute speech? Whole thing. Well, let me ask you: is it important to see the whole thing? Yeah. Why? And if you get all the information for what's going on, what's that help too? It influences your decision, right? Okay. The key here is that C-SPAN's not better, it's just different. And that if you want to, you can go watch all of Obama's speech. So let's say you saw it 30 seconds on the nightly news. If you go to C-SPAN's video library, you can watch the whole thing, okay? But we don't have editors in that sort of situation. This is why it makes it kind of tricky. But in that, we want to show you from beginning to end. So we don't have commercials on C-SPAN. We don't edit the content of an event that we're at. And we don't, we want to show something from beginning to end. We don't have to worry about advertising or ratings or anything because our funding comes from, does everybody get cable at home? Yes. Okay, comes from the cable industry. So a small portion of your cable bill goes to support C-SPAN, okay? And so we're not controlled by the government, even though we cover the federal government, we're not controlled by them. We make our own editorial decisions based on a criteria. And so it has to be, federal, it has to be balanced. So if we show something on X, we want to make sure we cover Y on the other side, okay? So we want to show both sides of an issue. Now, real quick before, any questions about that part? I mean, that's just a quick synopsis of what C-SPAN is. Any questions? So you're flipping around, you ever seen Congress on TV? Yeah, okay, so the anchor, if you will, for C-SPAN is covering the House of Representatives on C-SPAN and the U.S. Senate on C-SPAN too. And whenever they're in session, live, whenever, we show them from beginning to end. And we'll dump out of any programming to do that, okay? So it's really to show you how the process all works. Now, let me have Adrian tell you a little bit about Student Cam and what we're doing in addition to what you see on the network.
All right, so Student Cam is C-SPAN's video competition. We do it every year. This coming year, it's going to be our 8th year of doing the competition. We started it back in 2004. We took 2005 off, and then we've been doing it every year since then. And what we do is for middle and high school students, so anyone who's not graduating this year will be able to compete next year. You guys all in 6th grade and up and high school, and you guys all can...
I love moan in there.
Except for you, I'm sorry. So almost all of you guys can participate in the competition. What we do this year, the theme for the 2012 competition we've just announced, and what we're asking students to do is pick a provision of the Constitution. So one part of the Constitution, it could be in the Bill of Rights, it could be in the preamble, it could be the first part, or where they're talking about the Senate or the President. It could be anything in the Constitution, and you have to explain why you picked it and why it's meaningful to you. So, anything in the Constitution you guys think is interesting? Anything you guys talk about amongst yourselves or at school, or Any part of the Bill of Rights you really appreciate? How about the freedom of press? You guys are blooming journalists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a perfect example. So the video has to be between 5 and 8, or they might be changing the time limit.
Yes,
so.
it's 6 to 8.